Juan Crisóstomo Ibarra Magsalin Ibarra, a wealthy young mestizo who has just returned to the Philippines after 7 years of studying in Europe. Ibarra is sophisticated, highly esteemed, and very idealistic. The priest of San Diego all view him with great wariness on account of his highly liberal education and connections. His father, the equally idealistic Don Rafael, was labeled as subversive and heuristic by the corrupt priesthood and incarcerated, ultimately leading to his death. Ibarra hopes to create a school in San Diego in order to carry out his father's dreams and ideals, but becomes entangled in conflicts with the church and is forced to flee San Diego as a result of a conspiracy led by scheming father Salvi. In contrast to his more radical friends, Elias Ibarra's general wants to work within systems to reform the Philippines rather than overthrow them, but he shifts towards Elias' belief the novel's progresses. Maria Clara, a woman of high social standing, she is thought to be the daughter of Capitan Tiago and goddaughter of Father Damaso. She actually the biological daughter of Father Damaso, the product of a scandalous relationship between the old priest and Capitan Tiago's wife. Maria Clara grew up alongside Ibarra and planned to marry him. But Father Damaso disapproved of the union. After Ibarra is uncommunicated from the church, her guardians set her up to be with to Linares, a wealthy woman of Spanish descent, and she tries to go along with the plan to avoid hurting her father. They with Capitan Tiago when Ibarra is put on trial for sedition. She is conquered into surrendering. Later, Ibarra has sent her as evidence of his guilt. Ultimately, when she hears of Ibarra's apparent death, she refuses to marry Linares and joins a convent. Father Damaso. Father Damaso is an old, power-hungry, and shameless, corrupt Spanish priest who has lived among the native Filipinos for nearly 2 decades. In spite of having spent all the time among them, the years of having done nothing to endear him or develop any sympathy in his flock. He is deeply racist as well as petty and vindictive, and he thinks nothing of using his considerable influence to ruin the lives of those who have slighted him, regardless of how small the offense is. He masterminded the death of Don Rafael Ibarra, then brazenly taunted the younger Ibarra after publicly insult Ibarra's father. Ibarra attacked him and he excommunicates Ibarra from the church. He is also the godfather and, in fact, that biological father of Maria Clara, giving him influence over her relationship with Ibarra. Elias, a mysterious character as Elias is a man of the run from the law who resent both the Spanish colonial government and the Catholic Church. Despite his strong religious convictions, he crosses paths with the more temperate Ibarra when Ibarra bravely saves him from a crocodile. Elias uncovers a plot against Ibarra's life and works closely with him. Throughout the second half of the novel, he and Ibarra have several long conversations regarding the ethics of political and governance, with Elias taking a more revolutionary stance. Father Salvi, a younger, more cunning Spanish priest who assumes control over Father Damaso's post as friar curate of San Diego, he is in many regards more dangerous than his precursors, as he is a more gifted strategist who uses his religious role for political influence as well as personal vendettas. He frequently fights with the town's ensign for power. His most significant role in the novel comes through his plot to ruin Ibarras, who engaged to Maria Clara, who is in love with Captain Tiago. Don Santiago de los Santos. Capitan Tiago is a rarity in that he is a wealthy Filipino who is native born. He keeps close ties with high-ranking members of Catholic Church despite actually having no respect for religion, and shamelessly joins as other racist insults against his own people. is primarily concerned is to marry off his daughter, Maria Clara, to an influential man from an influential family is one of the main reasons that he is quick to toss aside his loyalties to Ibarra when he is labeled as a pervasive. His prediction for advantageous social pairings makes him quick to assist to Linares a potential new match for his daughter. The Ensign, the nameless head of the civil guard of the township of San Diego, a man of Spanish descent, is a constant bitter feud with Father Salvi to gain power in the town. He imposes curfews that make it all but impossible for the citizens of San Diego to attend mass of the proper schedule. He drinks excessively and is married to Doña Consolacion, who he frequently fights with. Doña Consolacion, the pugnacious wife of the ensign, Doña Consolacion is an older Filipino woman who is ashamed of her heritage and pretends to be unable to speak Tagalog, her own native language. She fights with her husband frequently and makes many of her husband's decisions for him. Despite being described as very ugly, she is proud and demands respect from others. Don Rafael Ibarra. Crisostomo Ibarra's father is posthumously mentioned in the novel A Critic of the Corrupt Practice of the Spanish Friars. He earns the heir of the virtualic father Damasus, who accused him of sedition and heresy. He dies imprisoned before his name can be cleared. His remains are buried in the Catholic cemetery in the town of San Diego, but Father Damaso hires grave digger to disinter his body to have buried at the Chinese cemetery because of his status as a heretic. Crispin, a young boy studying to be a church caretaker, Crispin and his brother Basilio work ceaselessly to send support money to their beleaguered mother Caesar. Crispin, in blame for stealing money from the church, covers by the head sexton and is kept a virtual prisoners until the debt is paid on the night that he and the brother were to visit their mother. The head sexton keeps them until the curfew, effectively barring the brothers from traveling. The head sexton beats him and he is never seen again. Afterward, presumably dying at the hands of the cruel head sexton, through the church official claims his escape. Basilio. Basilio is Crispin's older brother. Like his younger brother, he works as a sexton. Basilio make a separate run for their home the night Crispin is dragged away and attempts to locate his younger brother the day after. But his search efforts are fruitless. The following day, the civil guard comes looking for him and his brother, fearing for his life. He runs to the forest where he goes into hiding, living with kind family until Christmas Eve, where he finally locates Sisa. He learns that she has gone mad from grief and is thus unable to identify him as her son. He allows for the forest where she regains her wits temporarily and that dies from the shock. Dr. Tiburcio de Espadanya, a fraud and a hustler, the Spaniard who calls himself Dr. Tiburcio de Espadanya was actually a custom officer who was dismissed from his post shortly after arriving in the Philippines. Despite having no medical experience, he travels the countryside, posting as a doctor, charging extraordinary fees for his called service after his wife encouraged him to pretend to be a doctor. His patients eventually catch wind of his schemes and he is forced to relocate to another areas where is all but unknown. He finds his way to San Diego, where he resumes his fake medicine practices. La Doctora Victorina de los Santos Reyes de Espadanya, a brazen and determined Filipino social climber. Doña Victorina is the spouse of the counterfeit Dr. Tiburcio de Espadanya. She is well past her prime and relies on Gary's makeup to carry a facade of youth. She eagerly married of her nephew to Maria Clara, likely as a means to further advance her social status. L.T. Guevara, a morally upright man of Spanish descent who holds both Crisostomo Ibarra and the late Don Rafael in high esteem. Is also is lieutenant of the Civil Guard. He is one of the few who openly support the Ibarra and is vocal about his dislike Father Damaso's control. Is informs Crisostomo Ibarra of the fate of his father and how Father Damaso was involved in his death. Linares, Dr. de Espadaña's nephew, a respectable young Spanish man. Like his uncle, he has forged credentials and hopes to climb through the social ranks. The schoolmaster, a teacher that Don Rafael House thus allowing him to suitably attend to the task of instructing students. He informs Crisostomo Ibarra of the sorry state of education of San Diego. Since the passing of his father, the friars closely watched the material being taught in the school, forbidding him from teaching Spanish. The schoolmaster is a grateful to the Ibarra family, but he not hopeful that he'll make headway in getting lasting educational reforms to happen. Don Filipino Lino. Don Filipino Lino is a representative of the younger, less religiously shock-led generation of movers and shakers in San Diego, and he also served as the vice mayor of the town. He despised the idea of spending lavish amounts of money of the numerous fest days that mark the religious calendar, seeing it about wasteful and burdensome to some citizens. His words, however, fall on deaf ears as he is only deputy and the mayor himself is a dedicated follower of the Catholic Church and the de facto mouthpiece of the friars. The mayor, nothing more than a marionette of the Catholic priesthood, the unnamed mayor of San Diego is very conservative and bows down to the religious officials of the town, the Yellow Man. The assassin tasked to kill the younger Ibarra, his plot to murder the young man is thwarted by the cunning Elias is giving his moniker for his permanently sallow, jaundiced complexion. Sisa, the long-suffering mother of Sixton in the reigning Crispin, a Basilio, she goes mad upon the loss of their sons, impoverished and married to a violent drunkard. She is allied only with her sons. She wanders the town, clothes tattered, and hear this vote calling out for his sons. When she actually does meet Basilio, she cannot recognize him. Father Sibila, a priest serving in the Binondo district in the city of Manila. Father Sibila served as a foil to the otherwise largely corrupt Father Damaso and the perverse Father Salvi, as he is a rational and calm. Father Sibila is an adept, shrewd orator who takes obvious delight in antagonize the pompous Father Damaso Ibarra's return a party. Aunt Isabel, a cousin of Capitan Tiago, who raised Maria Clara as her own child after her mother ultimately death. Old Tasio Don Anastasio, an old man who previously studied philosophy and is believed to be crazy by most of the community. He respects Ibarra and gives him valuable advice and also helped Ibarra's father before him. Captain Basilio, Sinang's father, a pedantic man who is the speaker of San Diego's conservative party, an enemy and rival of Don Rafael Basilio, fashioned himself after famous Roman orators, advocating for a strict adherence to the church. Lucas, the Yellow Man's brother, wanting to revenge on Ibarra, he teams up with Father Salvi to frame the young man as the ringleader of the groups of bandits that attacks the military barracks. Brutans in headhair would dies the night of the barracks attack. Before his death, Bruno repeats what Lueyas has told him, namely that Ibarra is the leader of rebellion. Aunt Isabel, Captain Tiago's cousin and the woman who raised Maria Clara after her mother's death during childbirth. Captain Tinong, a friend of Captain Tiago's, like Tiago, Tinong cares about his own image. When it seems a thought that Tiago's family has been disgraced because his association with Ibarra's, he quickly turns his back on his friend. The chef sexton, the man in charge of taking care of the church. The sexton essentially does Father Salvi's dirty work like beating Crispin, hanging Lucas after the attack of the barracks. Dr. Tiburcio de Espadaña's nephew from Spain, Linares has a law degree and is the most intelligent member of the de Espadaña family, a fact that endears him to Doña Victorina. Don Filipino Lino, the deputy of Santiago Don Filipino, is described as almost liberal and represents the informal party of the younger, more open-minded generation. Captain General, an unnamed representative of Spain, and the highest government official in the Philippines, civil guards members. Townspeople and friars alike deeply respect him and defers to him judgment. It says of people volleying for his favor. Fortunately for Ibarra, this Captain General is not an enthusiastic support of church of overinflated the power. Piloso Potasio, an old man who used to study philosophy and who prefers secular knowledge to Catholicism. They show respect Ibarra and hopes dearly the Ibarra will succeed in building a school that independent of the church. Don Rafael Ibarra, Crisostomo Ibarra's father Don Rafael, perished in prison after Father Damaso accused him of heresy and subversion. Crispin and Basilio, they trained to become a sexton. Their mother is Sisa. They are maltreated by priests. A serious and committed Spanish friar who takes over Father Damaso post in Santiago as the town's priest. Fray Salvi is a meticulous and cunning one who uses his religious structure for political influence, benefiting both himself and the church's Capitan Tiago, a Filipino socialite and well-respected member of the country's wealthy elite, close with high-ranking clergy members like Edo Salvi and Edo Damaso. Captain Tiago is the one of the richest property owners in Manila and San Diego. He is concerned with making sure his daughter Maria Clara marries an influential man with ample social capital. The impact of novella of Jose Rizal, Malmitangere has profoundly impacted my understanding of history, social justice, and the power of literature. While haven't lived through the events depicted in the novel, reading it opened my eyes to the complexities and colonial oppression during the human struggles for freedom and identity. It's not just a historical account, it's a deeply moving and unseating experience. The characters' struggles with the injustice feel immediate and personal, fostering empathy and a deeper desire to understand the dynamic of power and oppressions. And as a Filipino, we must acknowledge and value the events depicted in the Nolmitang era. We must not forget them because they serve as a reminder of our past and allow us to better understand our present. The lesson we learn from the novel can be used to prevent the repetition of past mistakes and works towards a more just and equitable society. It's important to remember that Nolmitang Here is not just a story, it's just a reflection of our history and a call to an action. Thank you so much.